Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Football Friday. Being brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Got Jordan Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Hopefully that work week's in the rearview mirror. If so, cheers. Enjoy it. If not, we'll get you to the finish line here on this Friday. Our normal staples here on Fridays, we'll hit them all. Preston Guy, 15 minutes from right now, TigerBait.com, talking Tiger football. Get you ready for the NFL slate to come. My Saints-Panthers pick coming up at the end of the hour. We'll pick SEC games against the spread. Got some take it or leave it. And a final pick for LSU and Alabama. So lots to do. Let's crank it up.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
LSU and Alabama. One of the biggest brand rivalries in the last 2 decades in college football. Unquestionably. No doubt about it. And this one feels different. You don't have Saban. LSU's got an interim head coach. Tigers have 3 losses, have lost 3 of 4. Nobody really paying much attention to this game. This game was the centerpiece of the Southeastern Conference for better than a decade. I'm not just making that up. College Game Day had standing reservations. The conference had one CBS game to flex to primetime every year. And almost every year, it was this one. Bama, the biggest force in the sport for the entire Saban run. Where'd their bye week fall? Right in front of LSU every year. This was the game. And it doesn't feel like that this time around. And as I've analyzed this game, kind of looked at it, I've got some thoughts. I do. I think there are a lot of LSU fans that are saying, you know what? We're probably going to get crushed. Who cares? Who's the next coach? I get it. Probably some LSU fans that are going, all right, we got Kelly out of the way, got Sloan out of the way. Those 2 guys part of the problem. Like this team's going to they could surprise some people. That's fine too. I find myself looking at this game from a matchup perspective. If you listen to this show, I've liked the matchups for LSU against Florida and South Carolina. Bad offenses that LSU can kind of overwhelm in Tiger Stadium. I like that. I did not like the matchup for LSU against Ole Miss. And I felt like LSU was up against it in that game. Even though at that point we felt really good about LSU, I didn't love the matchup. And I didn't have the guts to pick Ole Miss that Friday, but I did not like that matchup. As I look at this game, LSU-Bama, Saturday, this is not a bad matchup for LSU. It is not. When you consider what LSU has really struggled with, LSU has struggled with really good running quarterbacks. Marcel Reed sliced and diced them. They could not get Diego Pavia on the ground. Trinidad Chambliss was running around, improvising, picking up first downs, getting in the end zone. Ty Simpson's a good athlete, and he will escape the pocket, but he's not those guys. LSU has struggled to get any semblance of a ground game going. But Alabama doesn't stop the run all that well. And if you listen to the LSU camp this week, Frank Wilson, Braylon Moore, West Weeks, Mansour Delane, like you heard them talk about the renewed physicality. And so I can paint this roadmap for LSU on Saturday night. Let's look at Bama. Let's look at some of their more impressive wins. I'm not going to go back to the Florida State game necessarily. Florida State was at home in that game. Florida State had a new quarterback under a new coordinator. And Bama didn't play very well. And LSU can't replicate what Florida State did because Castellanos can run around a good bit. And LSU just doesn't really have that. But let's look at Georgia. let's look at the Alabama win at Georgia. That's their most impressive win of the year. Well, how'd Bama win that game? Well, they dominated time of possession. They won it by 10 minutes, really 11 minutes, 35-24. Bama ran 77 plays to Georgia's 53. That is a 24-play advantage. On third down, Bama was 13 of 19. Georgia was 2 of 8. Like, Bama just dominated the clock. They just ran more plays. It wasn't like Alabama stuffed Georgia. No, far from it. Georgia ran for 227 yards on 7 yards per carry in that game. But they didn't run any plays. Bama controlled the clock. Bama did the same thing to Missouri. Choked the life out of Missouri in Columbia. They won time of possession 38.5 to 21.5. 17-minute advantage in time of possession. Bama won plays 75-56 in that game. Bama won third down 6 out of 15 on their offense. Missouri's offense was 1 out of 10. But Missouri, even though they ran 19 less plays and had the ball 17 less minutes, they outrushed Alabama 163-125. So those two games, Bama just won time of possession by completing third down plays, by being ahead of the sticks, and just being a snowplow constantly moving forward. You look at the other two impressive wins for Alabama. That's against Tennessee and Vanderbilt, both inside Bryant-Denny. And you look at how they beat Tennessee. Well, Tennessee outgained Alabama in that game, 268-253. Bama had 253 yards and won by 17. That game flipped on its head right before the half when Tennessee is going down to cut that lead to 3, and they throw a 100-yard pick six. Now it's 17, and everything's out of whack. And that's the play that spun it. You look at the Vanderbilt game. Vandy ran the ball, and Bama hit a 63-yard touchdown out the gate. They turned the ball over twice in the red zone. Diego Pavia did. So Bama's finding different ways to win. Credit them. But if you look at those 4 games, their most impressive wins. And keep in mind, like, Bama just got by South Carolina. They just got by Missouri. It's not like they're blowing the doors off people. So Florida State took it to them. This is not one of those Saban death machines. They're good. They're playing good. I think they can win the national championship. But the roadmap here for LSU is to change everything that LSU has done offensively. And that I have no confidence in with the same cast of characters in the building. But when you take some of the cast of characters out of the building and then rearrange that cast, which LSU has, I have no doubt LSU is going to do things differently on Saturday. And I also saw LSU in the game against Texas A&M in the first half run the ball for 7 yards a carry on a good defense. I saw Harlan Berry in the second half against Ole Miss run the football. I told you the Friday entering LSU Ole Miss. Ole Miss has the worst run defense in the conference. LSU will not run the ball because they haven't run the ball for 3 years. I'm telling you this Friday entering this game, LSU might be able to run the ball on Saturday. They're sure as hell going to try. And if they can, and if they do, they can tilt that time of possession away from Bama's favor. They can take that big advantage of plays run away from Alabama, which Bama crushed Georgia in and crushed Missouri in. Play them straight up. And if you can run the ball, bleed that clock a little bit, then it gets to the key I gave you yesterday, which is the red zone. But you got to get there first. What's Bama's strength? I told you, staying ahead of the change, but it's throwing the ball. It's not running it. It's throwing the ball. LSU's got one of the best corners in the country. P.J. Woodland is doing a good job in coverage. A.J. Halsey's playing good football. Deshaun Spears has a great coverage grade. Bama's really good out there, really good out wide. But I think LSU can keep up. It's not like teams have diced LSU through the air. Clemson threw for 230. Florida threw 5 picks. Vandy threw for $160. Texas A&M last week only threw for 202. They got 2 of the best wide receivers in the country. I think LSU can hold up out there. I don't expect Ty Simpson to throw for 353 and 4 touchdowns on Saturday night. there's a reason Bama is a 10-point favorite in this game, 9.5-point favorite in this game, depending on where you shop. They're better than LSU. The quarterback's playing better. They're at home. They're finding ways to win. LSU's getting bullied. But I sense that LSU's going to come out and look different on Saturday. And I think that with a new play caller, 2 weeks to put some new things in, and an Alabama defense that, quite frankly, is not good against the run. They are 15th out of 16 teams in run defense. I do think LSU can run it a little bit. If you take a page out of Vandy's book and you slow down and you bleed clock and you sustain drives, then you can take that big advantage that Bama had on Georgia and on Missouri and maybe get into a dogfight. Vandy got into a dogfight. South Carolina got into a dogfight. It can be done. And it's not as if LSU is devoid of any players. They've got some guys that can stand up at the point of attack as Alabama runs the ball. They've got some guys that can run with Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard. I think this is a decent matchup for LSU. My pick's coming at the end of the show. This might be a little bit of a misleading segment, but I think that this game is one that I can find a quality roadmap. I sat in this chair 2 weeks ago telling you I thought that Saturday night between LSU and A&M might be really, really ugly. And it got there quick in the second half. I've had a pretty good read on this team. I thought they'd go to Clemson and win. I thought they'd handle Florida. I thought they'd handle South Carolina. I didn't love the matchup against Ole Miss. I thought they'd beat Vanderbilt, and I missed on that one. It's a 7-point game I missed. And I thought last week, A&M, I thought things could get really sideways, and they did. I think that LSU's got a roadmap on Saturday. Whether or not they can execute it, we'll see. You get a turnover or two, you can't score in the red zone, it can get out of hand. Bama's better than LSU. I think this game gets into the fourth quarter on Saturday. I do. We'll see. That's our opening drive, brought to you by Genesis of Baton Rouge. Our Football Fridays are brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. A lot of times for these big LSU-Bama games, when LSU's on the road in T-Town, you like to have a lot of folks over for a nighttime kickoff. If that's the case and you don't want to get everything dirty in the kitchen or spend all day cooking, Corks can help you out. They're happy to feed in bulk. Just get a couple of trays, big old tray of fried catfish, big old tray of fried shrimp, big old tray of those crispy shoestring fries, maybe some rolls, maybe some beignet bites, and just take a load off. Watch some football and enjoy that delicious food. They're happy to help you. They love to cater. Can help you out, obviously, tailgate parties, feeding the office, Christmas parties are coming up. They can do all of that. If you got lunches, if you got a game day watch party tomorrow, or you're looking forward to some high school football playoffs coming up in the coming weeks and you want to feed a lot of people, Corks can always help you out. They're on Government between Foster and Jefferson. The entire menu's online at corksfishandshrimp.com. We'll come back with Preston Guy next.
The Hunt Palmer Show. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Saints and Panthers pick coming up in 30 minutes. I know you all waited with bated breath for that one. We'll get to it here coming up at the end of hour number one. Time now to head to the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Preston Guy, TigerBait.com is with us. Preston, how we doing?
Fine. How's your week been going?
I guess better than last week, if we're just being honest. How about you? How's your week going?
Chaotic. Thanks for asking.
LSU and Bama. I guess the question I want to ask is, do you expect tomorrow to look different offensively?
Yeah, I think they're going to try to implement more of a power running game. They're going to probably do a couple wrinkles with Michael Van Buren, particularly in short yardage situations. Probably do some things different because, ultimately we are talking about a coaching staff that is, going to be coaching for their careers, and a big agenda item is going to be, we can motivate these kids and we can put some wrinkles in place and really spice things up. So they're looking to, not only win the game, but win it by doing it in a different their way, particularly Frank and Alex Adkins, who are stepping in different roles, right? So I do expect a few things different. I don't know if it's going to necessarily work better or worse, but I do expect there to be a heightened sense of energy, as we often do see when an interim takes over.
Does the first half on the ground against A&M give you a little bit of confidence against a lesser Alabama run defense?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, if you also look at that first half, it was heavily carried by, timely turnovers and a block punt,
I'm more so talking about the running game with Barry.
I know, I get it, but then you benched him in the whole second half.
Yes.
It's not like the guy who was in charge of that running back rotation isn't still around. Now he's in an elevated role. So, yes and no. I certainly like what you're getting out of Harlem Berry. I haven't loved the running back rotation. I do like how he seems to be better at making something out of nothing than the other backs tend to be, which that's good because you're going to need to do that with this offensive line. Yes, there's some things. What gives me more hope than that first half is the fact that there are going to be some things different that hasn't been put on film yet.
Do you think there's any hope for the passing game to click at a level anywhere close to what it did last year, or is that ship sailed?
I still believe there is. I think they still have, more receiving talent than they did a year ago. It's just the pass blocking has been abysmal. I mean, You can't give up 7 sacks against Texas A&M. I mean, you can't do that. So hopefully they tighten that up. I know Bama still has a good pass rush, might not be as good as A&M's, but it's certainly something to be respected. And frankly, with this offensive line feared, I think they have actually more of the pieces in place to establish a good passing attack than a good running attack.
This defense against good offenses has not played very well. How do you compartmentalize that?
Well, a big part of that is injury corresponding with that as well. They gave up 42 points against A&M, but they've been pretty banged up. And weeks going from questionable to doubtful, back and forth this week, that's not encouraging. I think what weeks in the games he's missed, I don't think they've won a game, if I remember right. So, having him out, let's put it like this, having him back would be massive for your hopes on that, because clearly this front seven doesn't have the depth that we thought we saw. Relaford won't be back, but maybe some of these other guys can come back and be fully healthy, and I expect them to play better. That being said, Ty Simpson and company, they don't have the best running attack at Alabama, but Ty Simpson is leading a dynamic passing attack.
Yeah, I mean, this is a finesse Alabama offense at this point. I mean, I don't think there's any question with that. They're just really good at it, and Ty Simpson's playing at a Heisman level. How do you feel about LSU's coverage ability against Williams, Bernard, Cuevas, that whole crew?
Yeah, I look, given how banged up the front seven is, man, I would argue that does play into LSU's strength a bit better. I mean, Mansour Delane has been elite this year. He's been so good, you just don't even hear his name anymore. And you just look up, oh, hey, look, he's the highest-rated corner in the country, according to Pro Football Focus, on his, 4 targets he's gotten in, 8 games or whatever. It's pretty remarkable, the job that he's done. The safeties continue to make big plays. Paul C back there doing their thing. I would say, given how banged up LSU, that is the good news. It plays into their strength, and we'll have to see how, best on best, how it works out.
Do you think LSU is going to get this into the fourth quarter as a competitive game?
The score might be close. I am expecting Alabama to be in comfortably control in this game. I think that it might be one of those things, maybe they're up 2 scores and LSU saves the score off. I think Alabama will be in control of the football game. I'm not predicting. Let's put it like this. If Alabama is not in control of the football game, I'll be very impressed with the job Frank Wilson has done getting them together.
Do you see a path for Frank Wilson getting this permanent job?
Sure, 4-0. Make the playoffs. The final seed. Sure. Oh, yeah, it's there. I don't know if anything short of that gets them the job, but 4-0, and we'll have you force people to talk about it at 4-0.
And I want to get your thoughts on this. I mean, it's kind of unavoidable at this point. We're going to watch the game on Saturday, and everybody hopes they win. And if they don't, I don't think anybody's going to go nuts. It's a season that's slipped down the tubes. But as far as the recruiting class goes, and the fact that you haven't seen mass defections to this point, how do you feel about that? I know y'all cover it closely over there.
Yeah, I don't want to, pee on someone's grave here, but the fact that, your head football coach gets fired and you don't see, at least not yet, there might be something right before the game that we learned, but you haven't seen a single player opt out. You hadn't had a single decommitment. In fact, you've added a commitment. It speaks volumes to two things. Number one, the guy in charge really must have not meant that much to the guys committed. Number two, Frank and Austin Thomas and the NIL guys, they're doing a really good job to retain it. They still sit there, I believe it's 17 commitments last I checked. They will lose some players.
Yeah.
Make no mistake about it. There's going to be some decommitments. I don't think a head coach has ever been fired from a school and they had zero decommitment. It would be remarkable. It's just damage control. Keeping, you got to instill confidence in these kids that, in the face of adversity. I think it also does speak to the kind of kids that they're recruiting, that these are kids that really love LSU. And I think, frankly, Verge needs to be beating on his chest to the new coach about this. Look, these kids love LSU so much we fired our coach and they stuck around. That's a big selling point for LSU. There's a couple kids from California, like Haven Finney, a kid from California, the cornerback. That's one I've got my eyes on. Like, okay, how much does this kid truly love LSU versus he was just convinced it was a good fit, good system, and all that jazz. We'll just have to see. We'll see what happens. And what really concerns me on that front, Hunt, my hot take with this coaching search, it's probably most unpopular opinion. It's okay to disagree with me. Don't hire a coach for the right timing. Don't hire a coach for the early signing day. If your coach is in the playoffs, NFL or college, lock in and get the right man and take it on the frickin' chin for one portal and signing period. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the future of the program is more important than one team. And if you do wait through the middle of January, like, you will miss out on everything and your team will be severely compromised in 2026. But that's just it's the nature of making a program overhaul. We'll just have to see how it happens. So what's your confidence level in the coaching search? I don't need any names or anything, but how do you feel LSU sits right now? And it's been a tumultuous 10 days.
I have likened LSU to the hot girl looking for a prom date with a big, ugly pimple on her face, right? If you can start cleansing and doing you might end up with a really good prom date. However, LSU seems to continue to shoot itself in the foot. I know stability is something coaches desire and seek out, and it seems like LSU is given the opposite of that. That being said, Verge and company, they're trying their best to recover from the chaos and instability that Ralph and the governor have created with foolish comments. And I think it's still the hot girl, right? LSU is still the number one job on the market. And, I think that they do have a chance at landing a good coach. I'm one of the few who actually likes the hiring pool this year. I think I could probably name 10 names where I'm like, you can convince me why that guy's capable of winning a championship here for sure. We will see, but I will say this. It's way uglier. Your odds are looking way worse than you did the day after Brian Kelly was fired.
We shall see. Tigers and Tide tomorrow just after 6:40 p.m. You can read about it at tigerbait.com. Preston, we appreciate it.
All right, Hunt. See you soon.
Preston Guy, tigerbait.com with us on Fridays. Friday shows brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. You just signed up for the broadcast schedule tomorrow under our guarantee roof here. Kickoff, if you look at the scoreboard, it's going to tell you 6:30 kickoff. They're actually bumping kickoff back to 6:43. So we're going to run off that schedule. So we'll start Eagle 98.1 Game Day's pregame show from Rouse's Burbank and Lee at 1:45 tomorrow. 1:45. They'll go for 3 hours. They will hand it off to me on the LSU Sports Radio Network, myself and Marlon Favorite. At 4:45, we will get you ready for kickoff in Tuscaloosa. 30 minutes after the game goes final, myself and Marlon back on the Fighting Tiger postgame report. We'll be on for about an hour, and then 90 minutes after the game goes final, you'll hear Charles Hanniger from Richard Dixon from here in the Raising Cane's studio. They'll be taking your phone calls and reacting for a couple of hours. So from 1:45 tomorrow on Eagle 98.1 to about probably 2 o'clock in the morning, we are live and local right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, and, of course, Eagle 98.1, the flagship for LSU football. Again, Friday show is brought to you by Corks. We'll come back, get you ready for Sunday in the National Football League next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is the website. Every car that is on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. We live in a delivery society. Want food? Get it delivered. Want toiletries? Get them delivered. Want groceries? Get them delivered. Like, that's how we function now. And at this point, you want a car? Get it delivered. Genesis of Baton Rouge is happy to do that. You can start your shopping process online at genesisofbatonrouge.com and see every car they've got. They're all right there. Photographs, pricing information, details, all the features. They're right there at your fingertips. If you look at something and say, that looks good, I'd like to test drive it, they'll still deliver it to you. One of their brand ambassadors will drive out to work, right to the house. You can get behind the wheel. If you test drive it, say, I kind of like this. Let's do it. You won't regret it, and they'll deliver the car to you. Beautiful. E-contracts, delivery, you never have to set foot on the lot. If you do, it's Airline at PQ. That's awesome. If you're in the market for a new vehicle and you're out on airline driving around the different dealerships, make a stop off at Genesis of Baton Rouge. If you just want to do the delivery thing, because that's the day and age we're in, genesisofbatonrouge.com is where you can start. Again, they're on Airline at PQ. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Friday injury report is out for Saints and Panthers. Taliesin Fuaga out for New Orleans on Sunday. So the Saints will have quite a patchwork on that offensive line. You've traded away your left guard. Your center is out. And now your right tackle is out. So a lot of moving pieces on that Saints offensive line. I'll get you a pick for Saints and Panthers coming up in our next segment. We've got to pick SEC games against the spread coming up at 2 o'clock. Still more to talk about with LSU and Alabama. My final pick for LSU and Bama coming up in about an hour and 22 minutes or thereabouts. For right now, let's get it started. Look at our tier list for the National Football League. Tier 4, worst football of Sunday. Still football, but it is the worst. The Bills are at the Dolphins. The Bills are very good. The Dolphins are very bad. Tua leads the NFL, 11 interceptions. He throws another one. That'll be 12. That'll be the most by a Dolphins quarterback through this point of the season since Chad Henne in 2010. Not good company to keep. And then the other Tier 4 game, Browns and Jets. Let's be honest. If we're looking at a poster child game for Tier 4, would it not be Browns-Jets? I believe it would be Browns-Jets. Look, Kevin Stefanski said, I'm not calling plays anymore. Tommy Rees, you can handle that. We're not any good. The Browns average 15 points per game. The Jets, a lot of futility for the Jets. They just had a fire sale. Part of the futility, the only team in the NFL that doesn't have an interception. Just like through 2 months of football, couldn't get one tipped, couldn't get one that bounced your way, couldn't make a play on the ball. No interceptions for the Jets at this point. That's Tier 4, the worst football for Sunday. Tier 3, marginally better. Falcons are at the Colts. They're not at the Colts. They're in Berlin against the Colts. Atlanta is 26th in the NFL in expected points added versus the run on defense. That's a fancy stat. It just means they don't stop the run very well. You know who runs it very well? Jonathan Taylor. I don't think that's going to go very well in Berlin for the Atlanta Falcons. Giants are at the Bears. The Giants also can't stop the run. They're the worst in the NFL, allowing 5.5 yards per carry. The Bears are second in the NFL in rushing. You know who wasn't second in the NFL in rushing last year? The Bears. Coaching matters a lot. Ben Johnson, very good coach. Bears playing better football. They host the Giants on Sunday. The Cardinals are at Seattle. Division matchup here. Trey McBride has 273 catches in his first 4 seasons at tight end. That is second all-time to Jimmy Graham of the New Orleans Saints. Trey McBride's had a heck of a start to his career there in Arizona. The Lions are at the Commanders. Washington is not good. Really not good. Their defense is terrible. Jaden Daniels is out, although they did get good news on him today. And it's a revenge spot for the Lions, who's had their season ended last year in the divisional round by Washington. This Washington team has lost 3 straight games by 20-plus points. The Lions are second in the NFL in scoring. This could get really out of hand in the nation's capital. All right, now the better football for the weekend. Tier 2, Ravens at the Vikings. Lamar Jackson's NFC record is crazy. He is 24-3 against the NFC as a starter. Also, he's 32-16-2 against the number on the road. Remarkable win percentage there in terms of covering Might want to lay a shekel or two on the Ravens in Minneapolis. Jaguars at Texans, AFC South matchup. C.J. Stroud's got a concussion. He will not play. Davis Mills will play. Not a great go for Davis Mills as a starter there in Houston. 5-19-1 as a starter there. Spot for the Jags. He'll get a road win in the division. And the Steelers are at the Chargers. How about this for Mike Tomlin? They're not competing for Super Bowls anymore in Pittsburgh. He's still a really good coach. This is evidence of that. Tomlin is 63-36-3 against the spread as an underdog. He covers twice as often as he does not as an underdog. That's crazy. The Chargers down both tackles and 3 running backs at this point. Trevor Penning to the rescue? I kind of doubt that. All right, Tier 1, best football of Sunday. Got a couple of games in this slot. The Patriots are at the Bucks, 2 really good teams. Pats have not allowed a running back to get to 50 yards this year on the ground. They're the only team to do that through 9 games since 1950. Mike Vrabel's got his defense playing very, very well against the run. And the Rams are at the 49ers out west. These two went to overtime in week 5. McVay and Shanahan, an incredible series in that division. They've had 8 games already decided by 3 points or fewer. Those two guys can really coach in the same division. Christian McCaffrey has 100-plus scrimmage yards in 8 of 9 games this year. No one else has 7. So second place is 6. He's done it in 8. Christian McCaffrey still really producing there in San Francisco. That is your look around the National Football League for Sunday. Jordan, Rams 49ers, those two coaches are awesome. That's going to be an awesome game coming up on Sunday afternoon.
Always is. When Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan meet, it's like you're seeing 2 offensive minds clash, and you know it's going to be a hard-nosed game every time. Somebody's going to leave the field in a stretcher. I hate to say it.
You take naps during Saints games when they're not very good? That's what you've told us?
Whoa.
How about
3 o'clock slot, 3 o'clock.
How about Browns-Jets? Can I interest you in a nap for that game? Not that it'll be on.
Well, is it 12?
Yeah.
Oh, no, see, look, that's one of those games that Red Zone just misses. Like, they'll flash it in, so that's one of those games. But
you're a Red Zone guy?
Okay, so this the setup. I'm a Red Zone guy. If the Saints are not on, I'm fully Red Zone on TV. If the Saints are on, I have Saints on the TV, and I have Red Zone on the laptop.
Okay.
But I'm definitely a Red Zone guy. But I'm not I can only watch Red Zone guy. But no, it's definitely it's a nice treat.
The fantasy folks love some Red Zone.
That's why I love me some Red. You gotta
get in.
See, that's why you had the Saints on the big screen, but for the fantasy team, on that Red Zone.
You know what I like for fantasy? This is the satisfaction I get from fantasy football. I like to have the notifications on for my touchdowns. So when I get the notification come on, I'm like, oh, there's a TD. Nice job.
My nerves too bad, because then it's like if I'm not watching the games and it's like 12:30 and I have no notifications yet,
you're in trouble.
Yeah, I don't like those at all. I hate
Trey
that.
McBride looking to top Jimmy Graham. Did you realize he led NFL tight ends in history in the first 4 seasons?
I did not know that. But I did know Trey McBride was a monster, and he's going to be even better. Like Kyler Murray's out the picture. So
Trey McBride beat me in fantasy last week. I had a 7-point lead going into Monday Night Football, and he got me with a touchdown. Hated to see.
Oh,
but it happens.
See, those are the bad beats, man.
Those are the bad beats. And you got Steelers-Chargers on Sunday Night Football there, which sounds good in theory, but I don't think the Steelers are all that good. So we'll see. That's a look at the National Football League on Sunday. All right, speaking of the National Football League, Saints are traveling to Charlotte, take on the Carolina Panthers. I gave you a little brief injury update there in the top of the segment. We'll get into a full discussion of Saints and Carolina, including my pick when we come back on this Friday edition of Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Jonathan Carver and his team, just awesome folks to work with in the insurance game. You know, saving money on insurance is not always just about shopping to the next carrier. There are also things you can do creatively to help out with that premium. And we know that premiums in the insurance market right now, especially in property and auto, are through the roof. That's why you need to trust an independent broker like the Highland Insurance Group that is not just here to knock on your door and say, hey, maybe we can save you 8%. Let's look. Like, they'd love to save you 8%, but it may be their expertise in the building in terms of manipulating coverages and offering creative solutions that can help your bottom line. And that's not something that every broker knows or has access to. There are some insurance brokers that only have access to one market, and they can sell you that, and that's it. That's not the Highland Insurance Group. they have an expertise. They have clients in all different types of vertical markets. So if you're a business owner or CFO, somebody that's in charge of risk management, maybe internal counsel, hey, contact Jonathan Carver and the Howland Insurance Group. Say, hey, I'd like to look at this, and let's see if there's something we can do creatively to save us a few dollars here. They're happy to look at it. The odds are they probably can find some way to improve your insurance program. That's just the level of insurance professional you're dealing with, the Howland Insurance Group. So reach out, highlandig.com, fill out the contact us form, reach out to Jonathan and say, I heard about you on the Hunt Palmer Show. Let's talk. And Jonathan and his team are happy to do that. It's the Howland Insurance Group. They're online at highlandig.com.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Friday shows brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Awesome time to stop on in and grab a po' boy. Gorgeous weather out there. It's warm. Awesome time to grab a po' boy. Some of those crispy shoestring fries. Great lunch. A little late for lunch, but hey, indulge on a Friday over there at Corks. Check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. All right, Saints and Panthers coming up on Sunday, division matchup, and one that you looked at in August as you were kind of scanning through going, okay, that's one you can get. It is on the road, but it's a division game. The Panthers are kind of the punchline of the division, and we know the Saints are not expected to be very good, but if you're looking at games you can win, like that's one of them. You're not going to go to Buffalo and win. You're not going to go to Seattle and win. You know, those are games that you look at and go, oof, that doesn't look great. But you feel like you got a chance to go get the Panthers. And through 4 weeks of the season, it looked about right. Panthers opened in Jacksonville and got thumped 26-10. They went out to Arizona, lost a 5-point game. Then they beat Atlanta 30-0, which was a weird result. But it's the NFL. It's a division game. Weird game. And in week 4, they went to New England and lost 42-13. So they're 1-3, and they look like the Panthers of last year and the Panthers of the year before that and the Panthers of the year before that before they got Bryce Young. And like they just look bad. And in those 4 games where the Panthers looked terrible, Rico Dowdle averaged 7 carries a game and had 1 touchdown. In the opener, 3 carries, 12 yards. Against Arizona, 6 carries, 9 yards. At New England, 9 carries, 32 yards. Like they weren't really featuring him. Chuba Hubbard was the guy. And they decided after the month of September was over, hey, let's get Dowdle involved here. Well, what happened? Well, they played Miami, and Dowdle had 23 carries for 206. Running for 200 yards in an NFL game is a statement, and he made it. Next week, he backed that up against Dallas, 30 carries for $183. He averaged 6.1 yards a carry on 30 totes. They play the Jets on the road. He gets 17 more touches. They win the game. It was ugly, 13-6, and I wouldn't suggest that the running game won it for him, but they featured him, and they won the game. Then, the next week, they're like, well, let's get Chuba Hubbard back involved. We're here against Buffalo. Let's get Hubbard involved. So, Dowdle has 8 carries for 54 yards, and they get beat by 31 points, 40-9. So, last week, they went to Green Bay and said, you know what? Let's go back to the Dowdle guy. It seemed to work okay. Let's do that again. 25 carries, $130, and 2 scores. 206 against Miami, 183 against Dallas, 130 at Green Bay. This is the guy. This is the Panthers offense. Bryce Young is still not good. Yes, the Panthers have won 4 of 5. Bryce Young is among the worst statistical quarterbacks in the NFL. This is the offense. It is a big, physical, road grading ground attack, and they want to feature Dowdle. I think he gets 20 carries in this game on Sunday. If the Saints play the run like they did in Chicago and like they did last week at home, they will get beat soundly by Carolina, who is big and physical and wants to run it. So if you're Devon Godshaw, if you're Brian Brzee, Carl Granderson, Chase Young, Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, Pete Warner, this crew, if you do not show up, getting off the bus, determining you're going to stop this guy, you will get beat soundly in this game by Carolina. If you do put up a fight against this guy, you do limit his ability to make big plays, and you keep him around 85 yards, you will be in this game because Bryce Young is not going out there Sunday and throwing for 305 and 3 scores. He is not. He's not good enough. I don't think the Saints' defensive backs are great. They hadn't played that way, but he's not going to do it. Tetairoa McMillan, outside, big question mark right now. Questionable in the injury report on Friday. Huge, huge deal because he's their first-round pick, top 10 pick. He's kind of the future of their passing game. And without him, that takes a big step back. But you got to stop Rico Dowdle. You have to. That's the Saints defense. You flip the ball to the offensive side. Your offensive line is in shambles. Your left guard plays for the Chargers. Your center is on IR. And your right tackle, Taliesin Fuaga, is now ruled out on Friday. So you're going out there with a makeshift group up front, and you don't have your most explosive playmaker on the outside. That's Rashid Shaheed. He's in Seattle. I've been telling you they got to run the ball. They got to run the ball. I don't know if they're going to be able to run the ball. They haven't. Like, they got a few things going against Tampa, but it hasn't been good. And that doesn't give Shuck a ton of hope. So I'm sitting here trying to analyze this game, and I'm trying to paint your offensive picture, and I'm not going to just blow smoke. I'm not just going to lie. I don't know what you lean on offensively. That's Kellen Moore's job. And Tyler Shuck's got to make it work. I mean, I can give you all the cliches of run the ball, stay in front of the chains, ball control. The wide receivers have got to make some plays, catch the ball, and break some tackles, get Devin Neal involved a little bit. I can give you cliches all day long. Fact of the matter is that until I see something of real promise from Tyler Shuck, I can't, in good faith, predict it. That's a waste of everyone's time. The Saints' pass protection is bad. I think it's easier to run block, and I would like them to start the game attempting to do that. I have no faith they can get that done.
And Fuaga's out, by the way.
Yeah, I mentioned that at right tackle.
Yeah, Fuaga.
So you just don't have a lot of good vibes there. You look at this Saints team, and if I try to paint you an offensive strength, I can't do it. Kamara's okay. Olave's okay. He's okay as an NFL wide receiver. He's substandard as a 1. Juwan Johnson's not making plays. I would suggest Taysom Hill is a nice gadget, but that suggestion to me is irrelevant because every time you put Taysom Hill out there, you're compromising Tyler Shuck's development because he's not playing. And I don't care if they win the game or not against Carolina. I need Shuck to play. So like last week, they send him out there and he gets stuffed and then he throws an incomplete pass and then you trot Shuck out there for 3rd and 10. Well, that's not great for development because now you're putting him out there 3rd and 10 against a rookie left tackle and a makeshift right tackle, and that's not great. So it's hard for me to give a lot of optimism here, and I don't have any left to offer. So to me, I do think Carolina runs the ball at the Saints. I don't think the Saints mount much of anything offensively. They're going to need to hit some big plays and get a turnover or two in this game. I mean, the one game they won this year, they got a bunch of turnovers. Those aren't really a sustainable way to go about winning NFL games. But maybe Bryce Young gets you one or two if you can stop Dowdle in some way. I don't have the confidence in that in the Saints, so I'll pick you a final here. I think Carolina wins this thing 24-7. That's what I got. I wish I had some confidence, but I just don't. So give me 24-7 Carolina in this one. Jordan?
Yes, sir.
You got anything to add to that? You have any confidence?
I don't really have any confidence. I do like that Tetairoa. Well, like I said, I like it, but I like McMillan's not going to play.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
So, I mean, that's a positive in a sense, but Carolina wants to get downhill. You don't really fear Bryce Young in any type of shape or fashion, but at the same time, you're out there with
I don't
Shuck.
think the Panthers are good, but they do something good.
They're better than you at the
right,
moment,
you can point to that and go, they run it good.
Yeah.
I can't point to anything the Saints do well. I can't point to one thing and be like, well, at least they do that.
Well, we're gonna have an all white, so we're gonna at least look clean. We're gonna look better than them.
Icy white.
We got the all white, so we won the uniform battle. That's I guess that's.
I
points.
can't even point to the field goal kicker. You got to get kicker.
No,
you don't have that.
Get groupie, and we're outside too, so he's gonna be shaky. We already know a little groupie. So I mean, your best bet, like you said, will have to be some miracle turnovers. You're just gonna have to cost like a block punt. Or, Bryce Young fumbles it in any type of shape or fashion. But
Chase Young.
That's my only hope. Yes.
Chase Young strip sack. That's what we got. You're going to have to make him throw the ball to get that. So we'll see. Saints and Panthers, noon on Sunday. Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Missed any of the first hour. First 30 minutes were on LSU. I kind of like the matchup for LSU on Saturday against Alabama. You can listen to that at Hunt on LSU. Our interview with Preston Guy as well. Saints pick now in the rearview mirror. All our Saints content, Hunt on Saints. We will step aside for national headlines with SportsCenter. When we come back, we're rolling a little bit on these SEC picks against the spread. I got more coming after this.
The Hunt Palmer Show.